Let's watch the show.
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there? There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering. I can feel it.
Well, I think I'm Levi.
And I'm Gabe. And we are the Mythy Men.
And today we're going to be, not reacting to, because we've seen it a few times, but talking about our thoughts on the Amazon Rings of Power.
Yeah,
Rings of Power.
Rings of Power.
Trailer.
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there?
I'm pretty sure this is Numenor. The design looks elvish, similar enough to... Again, they don't have the rights to Peter Jackson's film, so they can't make
things exactly.
Not a follow-up, a prequel to that exactly, but it has much of the same elvish flavor. It's just good design.
There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering.
Of Muzu. Muzu is the appropriate plural of mooses. It's an Algonquin word. Use the Algonquin plural. This shot is actually exactly what is potentially very wrong and also potentially absolutely fine with this movie.
So
context.
Yeah, the context is king. Are they wearing those moose antlers on their backs because they think it's cool and it's what their characters do? It's not cool. It's a very bad idea. Or
antlers are heavy.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that. If that's a part of their costume, it's dumb and it breaks the realism that not just the Peter Jackson films, but Tolkien's writing is known for. The verisimilitude.
On the other hand, if you killed 2 giant moose and you want to bring the antlers home as a trophy, that's kind of the only way to do it. Unless you have a horse. Get a horse. Okay, get a horse, guys.
Who's the elf king in
what?
In The Hobbit? Thranduil?
Thranduil? Yeah.
You know what happened? They
shot
killed Thranduil's mount.
Alright. Hobbit. Harfoot.
In a hole in the ground. Anyway, there's nothing necessarily bad to say about this shot.
What is going on with her hair?
Again, if hobbits in the Amazon show routinely walk around with
acorns
in their hair, it'll be a Radagast. It'll be a bit Radagasty.
Oh yeah, that's totally Radagast the Brown territory.
And that was kind of dumb.
It was pretty bad.
If she just fell down, I think she's looking up to something at the end of this shot, or just got up out of the ground or something. She has that in her hair. It's all about context.
Yeah.
We can't judge it because we haven't seen the
show. By
the
way, is she the one narrating the trailer?
Yes, I'm pretty sure she's the one narrating. Her voice sounds like it's her. And that's beautiful casting for a Hobbit. That's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. No complaints there. You can costuming the hair, but whatever. Keep on going. And we come to our first CGI shot, and some people have complained about the CGI in this. I have a few notes to say, as a CGI artist myself. Yeah. The problem with this shot is huge raging waterfalls at the extreme height peak of mountains are extraordinarily rare, almost impossible to find because when there's not enough water at the top of a mountain to create that big of a waterfall usually. So unless this is the edge of a giant plain that stretches away and has mountains and rivers and lakes and everything beyond it, it's highly unlikely that you get this big a waterfall up in the air. So people don't know that, but they feel it because they've never seen it before. And so when you create a shot that's unrealistic like this,
your eyes start looking for the problems with it. Again, the scale here is unrealistic. If we're talking about the Doors of Night from Evereven's Lofty Hills, basically where the stuff at the edge of the world, where Eärendil leaves from in his boat to carry the Silmaril as a star, like that kind of mythical stuff, this scale makes sense. If this is what the world looks like,
we're not
It's
going to be
gonna
really okay
lose
with
some
that.
of its gonna lose some of its realism.
Yeah.
There's another shot later on that might be that way. We'll get
We'll
to
get to that.
Yeah.
All right, Galadriel.
I like Galadriel's look. I think she looks better in the trailer.
Than
I
she
like
did
her.
in the-
I like her better in the trailer
Than the promo photos.
than I did in the promo photos.
I agree. She actually looks like she has some gravitas when we see her on screen in this particular shot, and I think that's really important for a character who's 5,000 years old. And the
What?
articles were making me really, really nervous about how they're going to play her.
She's some young, hot-headed. Again, yes, in the grand scheme of things, some of these elves are old, but they should look young because they're.
I don't mind her looking
Age.
young. It's does the actor have the gravitas, and do the writers, respect her enough to make her character timeless, like the elves should be?
Yeah, and that goes
That's-
for all of the elf actors. And I honestly, in these shots, I think she can pull it off. So I think she'll be a good Galadriel.
Given this shot, I'm more hopeful than I was with the promo photos.
It's one shot though, and
On
that's
the other
one
hand-
of the things.
Ice climbing
So realistic.
with a dagger.
I watched Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I had a sword as a child, and I wanted to stab
tried.
my sword into ice. It doesn't work that way.
There's a reason ice picks. You have a whole hammer in
Yeah.
the head because it's really hard to stab this stuff into
Now
ice.
she was half swording into me.
I know. All right.
Before the Fellowship, before the King, it's like, yeah, they're marketing an off Lord of the Rings, which they do have the right to. That's going to happen. I don't mind that at all.
Marketing be marketing.
Yeah, marketing be marketing. And that's the other thing about marketing and the trailers. You can't believe the marketing. Trailers have unfinished visual effects. They have shots that are not going to make it into the movie. Marketing materials are notoriously unreliable because they're trying to make different segments of the population happy or not. And it's just one of those things. You have to judge the movie or the TV show based on the movie or the TV show, not the marketing materials. You can have concerns based on the marketing
I
materials.
kind of disagree with you because the marketing materials is what they put out to try and get you to watch the film, and so if what they're putting out leans in a particular direction, you can kind of assume that that's what they want to show you with the show.
It's true.
So
but the marketing team is
I'm not going to give a
necess-
final judgment.
Right.
Like I'm going to watch it. I don't expect it to be good, honestly, but I will watch it, and if it's good, I will tell you.
This is Amazon. Like the marketing team may be completely different team and have different goals
That's
from
true.
the actual showrunners. So
Yeah, it may have nothing to
hard,
do with
yeah.
the show
It's hard to
people at
say.
all. It might just be the Amazon execs and what they want to see.
yeah, whatever this is, who knows? It's
The
a
shipwreck scene,
Whatever it is, it's
no idea.
who knows.
We'll see.
Don't even know
Let's
what
keep
part
going.
of the story. This shot.
This shot. We have two major problems with this shot.
Yes, we do. You go first.
Okay. Catching arrows. Guys, I thought that some of the worst problems with The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings were the super elf, Superman, Legolas shots. Catching arrows and returning them doesn't really feel grounded. I mean, it's possible under trick circumstances.
Yeah.
When you know where the arrow's coming and kind of when it's coming, but in a battle situation, no, not even for an elf.
Yeah, and again, it's like shield surfing. If he does it once in the movie or twice, we'll be like, okay, that's fun, that's
We'll
kind of
forgive
awesome, and
you.
it's lame, and
Maybe.
we'll move on. But if they turn the elves into Jedi or something like that, it's just not gonna
Just
be
lame.
right.
Lame.
My issue with this shot is the bullet hit effects when the arrows hit the ground. I've shot arrows into the ground. They don't do that. I love this. This is my second favorite shot
Second?
in a trailer.
I think it's my favorite.
That guy just looks right.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
perfect. It's
It's
beautiful.
perfect. It fits in with the Peter Jackson versions, which were great, but it also isn't exactly the same. It feels like its own thing, and I really think that they nailed this shot. I hope the character's good. I hope that the way they portray him is great, but he looks good. Galadriel, charging possibly into battle without a helmet on. Guys,
Yeah, the biggest problem is she doesn't have a helmet. It depends on what they do. If they make her into some warrior,
Yeah, if they make
superhero, elf, Jedi
modern
elf.
stereotype warrior princess. We're not gonna like it. It's just not gonna fit in Tolkien's world very well. But we'll just have to wait and see.
This next shot with.
It's just
We're
play it.
assuming that's an internet troll. There's really not a whole lot to
Yeah.
say. It's an interesting design.
Yeah, interesting take on a troll.
This is Linden.
That's,
believe.
That's what I've read.
It's one of the things we checked before we came.
And now we get back to the CGI problem. There's a massive problem with the scale of the background versus the foreground and how the ground looks. From a visual effects perspective, I've done visual effects work. It just looks really off. So it's probably one of the shots that's making people complain about the visual effects.
Yeah, because the ground on the right, you're above the clouds.
And the way background looks so out of scale.
At that height, there wouldn't be trees. Like, if it is actually what it looks like, that's going to be above the tree line. And again, yeah, it's Middle Earth, but Middle Earth is supposed to be our world. So you don't want to stretch credulity too far. Again, this might be one of the things where they threw something into the background when they were comping it together for the trailer.
Could be an unfinished visual effects.
And it's an unfinished, like everything on the right, the background is an unfinished visual effects shot to say, oh, the visual effects are terrible, I hate it, it's going to be a terrible movie. You can't make that judgment from the trailer.
This shot does contribute to that visual effects are terrible thing.
It does.
Because it's weird. So let's keep going. Ooh, Durin.
I think it's during the 4th or something.
Yeah, during the 4th.
I'm not sure what I think about his costume. You can't really see it in this, but his look is bang on. So good.
Yeah, the hair, the beard.
Yeah.
I mean, the character looks great, and I'm really glad they did that. Elrond.
I like Elrond.
Levi likes Elrond.
Elrond Hubbard.
I don't like the hair. It feels really modern to me, and I wish it was a lot more timeless. So I would, I'm just not sold on the look of the character, mainly because of the hair. I'm not going to complain about the actor until we actually see him.
I don't hate the hair.
Can he pull off the timeless elf majesty? I don't know.
The shot when he looks up is good. I think he can. I think he can
pull
off the gravitas.
Elrond is really young for an elf, like 70, 80 years old at the start of the Second Age. So
yeah, he was born right at the end of the First Age.
Yeah. So it can make some sense if he's.
Well, wait a second. Yeah, he's going to be really young at the. If this starts at the beginning of the Second Age, he's going to be very young. Yeah.
Well, they're compressing the whole Second Age into like 10 years, which is kind of a problem. But.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to turn. I mean, they kind of have to, but I'll see.
All right.
Dwarf Princess. Here's where we need to get into the elephant in the room, which is character ethnicity. Well, actually, this is a good place for the quote. It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like, says Lindsay Weber, who's the executive producer of the series. Tolkien is for everyone. His stories are about his fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know if there's any way to say this reasonably, or to be taken reasonably by at least half of the internet, no matter which way you go. Yeah. But that the approach that they have to adapting this and the cast new series that they've made is really concerning to me. Because if you contrast that with Peter Jackson, who said, we really tried not to mess with Tolkien. We tried to...
I want to get into that quote at the end.
Okay, we can add that quote at the end. But anyhow, he wanted to be really faithful to Tolkien's work and not inject his own biases and ideas into it. I think the problem with trying to make the show look like the world we have today is because we're in a really weird place technologically and ethnically that the world has never really been in to this degree before. So,
yeah, to this degree.
In Tolkien's world, travel is very slow. It's about as fast as you can go on a horse. And even then, for entire cultures to mix and intermingle, it's about as fast as you can go on a ship, which is pretty slow. And so when you have a world where different pieces of different ethnicities split off and are separated, that's how you get variations in skin tone, color, things like that. Language. And the problem I have with this is I feel like they're not going to make sense of it in that way, because it really needs to make sense. And in a world where travel is very difficult, you can't just have this mixing of all different ethnicities.
Not in the same way that we have today.
Right.
Because we have easy travel. It's all in how they do this. There's 7 houses of the dwarves.
Yeah.
If they, and again...
If some of them are black, there needs to be a reason, because they're way over there and they don't mix with the ones who are white. Otherwise everybody would end up brown in the middle.
They don't mix very much, at least in canon.
Lore,
If they want to make one of the, or a couple of those houses, one of them black, that's awesome. It may not be perfectly canon.
I still disagree with the decision, but
if they do it in a way that makes logical sense, if Dissa is, she married into the
House of Durin,
to, to strengthen the alliance with Spain or what have you.
But she's actually from this other house a very long ways away, and somehow they came together. Like,
That's fine.
if they
That's
make
great.
sense of it in a way that feels natural with the world and doesn't pull people out of it,
Yeah.
it could work. But I'm really concerned that they're just doing it to tick their boxes, to check off their checklists of diversity casting. And the problem is, it's just going to turn more and more people off to diverse characters in film.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good thing.
If her brother's a white dude and their parents are like white dude, white dude and lady,
she's
it's
black,
like and that
what?
doesn't make sense. Again,
It
family.
pulls people out of the story, and you know because of stupid politics today that it was done for political reasons, and that's what breaks it. Because I really don't want good things, as in black people getting acting roles and stuff, to be politically charged.
Yeah.
And I feel like doing these roles and making them not make sense will just exacerbate that.
And for
worse.
something like Hamilton, it's fine. That's great. You pick the best rapper, you pick the best singer, whatever it is. But for something like Tolkien, where families and family trees and clans and stuff matter so much, and he gets it realistically, it's a disservice to not pay attention to that and do it in a realistic way. So I'm great with bringing in more diverse casting because there's great actors out there from everywhere, but it needs to be done in a way that makes logical sense within the world.
Yeah. Okay, the nudity.
The famous nudity, yes.
What do you think? Are these dwarves?
I think with the beard and the hair, these are probably dwarves. We were talking about this earlier. I think, well, no, you think.
I was wondering if this is when they awaken the Balrog in Khazad-dûm. But I feel like it doesn't, like you wouldn't want that to be right at the beginning of your story, so...
But maybe it's not. Maybe this is from... Well, no, there's going to be several... I think there's going to be several series.
They got 5 seasons scheduled, so...
That's what it is.
I have no idea what this is. It's really apocalyptic. We'll see.
I like the well-placed heat distortion, though. It's very, very
Well
appropriate.
placed.
Yeah, exactly. This is dwarves. Who knows what it is?
Splitting rocks, because dwarf can.
It's,
Okay.
Again, what to make of this? So number one, I'm not a big fan of his hair. It looks great on him, but it doesn't pull me into the otherworldliness of Tolkien. It feels very contemporary.
Modern, yeah. The buzz cut elf, it bothers me more than the Elrond haircut elf, or the poof. Because it's very modern.
Oh yeah, and how to integrate a black elf into Lord of the Rings again.
Right, we have the same ethnicity problems.
Canonically, most elves that I'm aware of, I think all elves mentioned are fair-skinned, and it could mean beautiful, but within the context of fair skin, it usually means,
Now, there were
color.
great sunderings of elves, and they're the elves who lived in the darkness and starlit realm of Middle-earth and never came to Valinor. And if they want to say that those sundered elves are darker and make sense of it that way, so that the Sylvan elves or those elves are that way, I feel like they could make sense of it. But
especially because Amazon has racial, I believe you were saying they have racial quotas of a certain amount of people of different ethnicities, and if the
showrunners are just trying to work within their studio imposed limitations and do the best they can, I hope they come up with good reasons for this. Otherwise, I just don't think it's going to be very helpful.
Yeah. This is my favorite shot in the trailer, and it's funny because I've seen people blasting this shot as well. It's like, this is my favorite shot. You can't criticize it. But I have a reason why it is one of my favorite shots. So some of the complaints have been the actor who is either supposed to be Finrod Felagund or Fingal. No, it's supposed to be Finrod Felagund.
Yeah.
That he's like, it looks too much like an angsty teenager.
No, he doesn't.
Well, again, it's all down to how the actor does him. If he gets the gravitas of agelessness, 1,000 years old kind of a thing.
Half a second shot, too.
And he looks young, perfect. Also, stills and really short shots are terrible at showing you what the person actually looks like. The hair?
Hey, he's got short hair.
But it's better than Elrond?
It's better than Elrond.
Alright.
It's better than Buzzcut, but...
It's helmet hair.
Oh, come on. I really like the way PJ did elves, so of course I'm going to like that.
I don't mind shorter hair on the elves. The other thing it comes down to is as someone who's big into the art side of films, the production design and the art direction behind this shot, one of the complaints I've seen leveled at it is that the armor and everything looks plastic and fake. Does it look plastic and fake to you?
No, not really.
Again, we both do this sort of thing.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
We've created armor and things for both museum exhibits and films, and so although it probably is plastic, it doesn't particularly look bad. Obviously, the color grade is pulled out really
Yes.
far so that the bronze goes really bright and everything else looks really blue.
You think it's bronze?
It's a brassy bronze sort of look. I mean, it could be bronze. It looks pretty good. I like the armor, and I don't think that a half-second shot is worth saying everything looks tinny and plastic. I think it looks pretty good. I don't have a whole lot to criticize about the armor.
Now, from a design and influence standpoint, in the Peter Jackson films, they tended to focus on medieval-esque inspiration. They didn't really go into the ancient world. The ancient world is a specialty and an interest of mine. I'm seeing pseudo-Attic stuff in here.
Like
Chalcidian helmets, stuff like there's tons of flavors from the ancient and the classical world, and that's something the other films didn't touch, and that's a great thing for them to draw from for a story that takes place earlier
in time.
So I'm really encouraged to see some ancient world influences coming through, and it makes me. I was after the Vanity Fair article, I wasn't sure if I liked the way the art direction of the Amazon show is going, but after seeing this, I have hope. I really have hope for it. We were on our phones in breaks between filming, and this person's hand is the Stranger. That's the character.
The Stranger.
Who knows what it is?
I thought that was a god in Game of Thrones.
Is it?
Yes. Anyhow,
Okay.
is that one of the Hobbit's hands, I guess? Maybe?
Who knows?
Okay.
So the first Vanity Fair article had me concerned. At the same time, it was a good motive check for me to be like, okay, why am I reacting this way to certain things?
Mm-hmm.
Then the trailer came out, and it made me more hopeful. The second Vanity Fair article came out and made me even more hopeful, where they're talking about really getting into the inspiration behind Tolkien. And honestly, I have a few quotes.
You may seek your friends, but do not trust to hope. For this forsaken these lands.
There never was much hope for the Amazon series. Only a fool's hope.
Only a fool's hope.
There's a really good quote from Tolkien in letter 210, I believe. The canons of narrative art in any medium cannot be wholly different, and the failure of poor films is often precisely in exaggeration, and in the intrusion of unwarranted matter owing to not perceiving where the core of the original lies. So there's another quote from Peter Jackson. We made a promise to ourselves at the beginning of the process that we weren't going to put any of our own politics, our own messages, or our own themes into these movies. In a way, we were trying to make these films for him, Tolkien, and not for ourselves. The issue with small changes to canon is that it can sometimes be an indication that they don't care about the bigger stuff.
Right. If the fact that they're willing to, for other reasons, presumably, make changes to things, then where will it stop, and will they get anything of the original story through, and what the story meant? Because there's a big difference. There's not a whole lot of story for them to go off, so they really have to make it up. But on the other hand, I think that they need to play within the space of the types of stories that Tolkien told about the corruption of power and obsession and love and things that he told stories about, the epic world that he created. If they can create stories within that feel like they belong, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
And I will enjoy them.
Do you like it? Or do you think it'll be good? Are you going to watch it? And do you want it to be good?
No. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be good. I will watch it, or at least some of it, unless it's really bad, and then I'll stop somewhere in the middle.
But we'll have to
And
watch it
I
all
do
to make
want
content.
it to be good. I really do.
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm naively optimistic. I think I hope it'll be good. Will I watch it? Yes, because I want to give it a fair shake. And I do want to judge the show as it is. And we'll have to make content, assuming we do more of this YouTube thing. Do I want it to be good? I want it to be good or bad. I don't want it to be mediocre, and honestly, that's what I'm scared of.
Okay. Well, that's all we've got. Let us know what you think. Do you think it'll be good? Do you want to watch it? Do you want it to be good? And we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.